Shalom. Giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem El Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Yahweh Bashem El Shai Brakathum to your hopefully elect through the Spirit. I wanted to do this video, going into how a part of this thing of ours that we're involved in, a lot of it consists of growth. All right. Leveling up, because, just doing some studying and meditating, because like Yahweh Shai with his disciples, all right, because I'm gonna get this real quick. To start off. In Galatians chapter 4, I'm gonna read verse 1, starting at 1. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differeth nothing from a servant, though he be Lord over all. I'm gonna go ahead and read that in the NLT. It says, think of it this way. If a father dies and leaves an inheritance for his young children, those children are not much better off than slaves until they grow up, even though they actually own everything their father had. All right. So basically, Lord willing, we're of that number. We're getting ready to come into an inheritance. All right. But before we can obtain that inheritance, we have to learn the responsibilities of what comes with it. You see? So this is why, again, we have to grow, we have to develop, and we have to level up. All right? To be able to handle the responsibilities of what comes with this inheritance. That's why when you read verse 2, it says, but is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. So you see, again, we have to grow. We have to level up. And this is what's taking place. Everything that the Lord is showing us in our individual walk, our personal walk with the Lord. All right. So that we can be able to deal with the responsibilities that come with this inheritance that we are getting ready to inherit, Lord willing. You see? So we have to grow. We have to mature. Right? Because it first and foremost starts with Yahweh Shai. And going back to what I was mentioning earlier about how, with Yahweh Shai, when he was on the scene, he pretty much put the disciples in a position to where they had to level up. They had to mature. Coming up under this order, the order of Yahweh Shema Shai, you see, I'm going to get this in St. John chapter 6. St. John chapter 6. Because before the disciples, before they came apostles, all right, again, they had to learn, they had to grow, develop, mature. Right? Get this in St. John chapter 6. I'm going to start at verse 10. And now this is when Yahweh Shai, when he fed 5,000 fed the 5,000, right? But a specific point I want to get in St. John chapter 6, because one thing that I've been learning, again, in this thing of ours that we're involved in, because the apostles always stress, the apostles always stress the point of not being stagnant, because this thing is more than just putting up videos, going out to the highways and byways. All right, it's a lot more than that. When the apostle recall, some time ago, made this statement and about asking brothers what this truth is about, right? And of course, majority of us would say, working at our own salvation with fear and trembling. Of course, we will all say that, but again, it's not just about that. All right. Because ultimately this thing is about the elect and the building up of the elect, the rebuilding of the third temple, which is us, Lord willing. You see, this thing of ours, it's about the body. Yeah, we ought to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, but it's about the body, nevertheless. The sheep, right? Because again, Lord willing, we're coming into this inheritance, and if we are the future leaders of the world to come, then before we get to that point, there's things that we need to do. There's things that we need to learn. All right. Again, we need to grow. We have to level up before we can obtain that inheritance. And likewise, what Yahushua was what he was teaching the disciples before they became apostles, he needed them to level up. So real quick, I want to make a point in St. John chapter 6, starting at 10. It says, and Yahushua said, make the men sit down. Matter of fact, I'll just start at verse 1. St. John 6:1, it says, after these things, Yahushua went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a great multitude followed him, because they saw his miracles which he did on them that were diseased. And again, Lord willing, with that number, the times that we're coming into, like the scriptures talk about being apt to teach, ready to give an answer, The scriptures also talk about how, and this is why we gotta really fight, man. Because, again, it's not just about us working out our own salvation, but the scriptures talk about to those that hear thee. Because, again, man, to the elect, they're not doing it just for them, You got other people looking up to them. Because, again, those leaders, man, hey, Jake is a sheep, man, and they need a shepherd. Well, under that order of Yahweh Shema Shai, those elect men of those shepherds, Yahweh Shai is the shepherd, and under Yahweh Shai, those elect men, those little miniature shepherds, so to say. I'm gonna get this real quick, Lord willing, I can find it. Bear with me. Bear with me. Jeremiah 50 and 8. Jeremiah 15:8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks. So you see, all right, because an he-goat, is basically a leader of the flock, of the sheep. And like I said, Yahushua being the shepherd, those elect men, those leaders, all right, they're miniature shepherds. And again, if we're at that number, be prepared to lead. Be prepared to lead. But again, that's why it's important for us to grow, to mature, to level up, because we're learning the responsibility of what it is to be kings, judges, leaders, because it's more than just having all these women and concubines and drinking wine all day, and again, we're learning the responsibility of what it is to be a leader, because the time is coming, and we're getting ready to transition, all right, we're getting ready to transition, you see. So again, that's why we got to level up, man. We have to grow. Becoming self-centered we are transitioning from being self-centered to others-centered, being centered around others, because again, on another note, a leader knows how to serve, going back to our greatest example, Yahushua, right? Where he washed the disciples' feet, right? These are all things that we're learning along the way, because again, we're getting ready to transition over, man. And through the Spirit, man, things are getting ready to pick up, and more responsibilities, I believe, are about to be put on brothers' plate as far as the ministry and feeding, guiding the flock of Yahweh Shema Shai, which is no light matter, But going back to St. John chapter 6, verse 2, and a great multitude followed him, because they saw his miracles, which he did on them that were diseased. And Yahushua went up into a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Because again, Yahushua was constantly, teaching, trying to show the disciples certain things before they had to transition over. And Salakia, I'm going to come back with a part 2. Something just came up. So Salakia, be right back, Lord willing.